So as you may know, I'm a macro observer of energy processes. I always failed in micro issues when I had to come to lower levels. So I failed to persuade my mother to insulate the house, stop using my ex-wife to go for the corner shopping by car, and stop using that much heat water at the showers by my sons. That's the most painful, actually. So I have a view from the very top, and what Csaba requested me to send a very clear message for public sector, what else can be done in order to increase sustainability within your sector from a macro perspective. And I have one single message, what you may not do and you can do in the future and you shall do in the future. And this is what you see here on the slide. It's start, please, space heating, cooling in a range mode. I hope that you have everywhere in your public buildings dynamic heating and cooling methods. This is normally means normal demand management when the building is empty. In the nighttime, you don't heat it that much. And you don't cool it when you don't have to. Well, my message is to differentiate it a little bit more and use demand management in parallel with the production patterns. So sometimes it will make sense to heat up a building in the wintertime, in the nighttime, when it's empty. When we have overproduction of wind power, for example, on the network, and save a bit of carbon energy in the morning hours when people come in and let the building cooling down. Even more forcefully, it makes sense in the summertime to overcool buildings in the daytime. If you can save a bit of carbon energy in the early evening when sun sets, and you can avoid the California phenomenon, and you can save a bit of energy and save us not to burn, not natural gas in the evenings for the system. So I think that the concept of the demand management has changing a little bit in the future, in the next 2 or 3 decades. And you can use abundant energy if it's decarbonized in a specific time frame in order to save a fraction of carbon energy in another time period. Well, I'll just give a little bit of background for this. I think is this the I cannot point. So you see the figure on the right, which shows that how many hours is expected to be in the next, let me say, decade with negative electricity prices in the network, and how many hours we will have with excessively high electricity prices in the network. So what is really coming to us is a huge volatility of electricity prices, and this is basically because that we will produce much more energy in an intermittent mode by solar and wind in the next decades. And we will have much higher carbon prices while in the 2020s and 30s. So we will have a problem here from the macro perspective, and we will have to do something with this. The reason for this is that we simply overbuild solar and wind power. We do not have any other choice, actually. Overbuilding solar has hardly any impact on energy consumption, because you will not be able to produce solar energy in the light hours, because the network is full, and you have to create demand for that. You can only use incremental solar supply if it's cloudy, or if you orient the solar panel to the west or to the east, southwest, southeast, but not in the normal mode. So we will be able to use all the fraction of that capacity That's why I think what has been mentioned by the former speaker, solar capacities and wind capacities do not matter anymore because the network is full. So the incremental capacities will produce much less energy to the system because we simply cannot use it in their production most productive periods, unless we can store that electricity in some way. The one way to store this is our batteries. But battery technology is a laggard, actually. So it's coming too late. It is very important, but we will not have in the sufficient scale in the next 2-3 decades. There will be a lot of batteries coming to the market, especially in the 2030s, into the e-mobility and other sectors, but simply they will be 2 heads behind our production rate of renewable energy. And if we would like to achieve the 2050 targets, we have to keep installing solar panels and wind power into the system. So the challenge is, from the macro point, to what substitute we can find for the batteries, because we don't have enough batteries within the system. And what can be used? There are a number of options, but in terms of numbers, in terms of statistics, the building walls are the biggest storage available for energy. And that's why I'm speaking that if it is possible, and I very much hope that it is going to be also a financially reasonable choice in the coming years, start using heating and cooling modes in line with decarbonized energy production methods. What do you need for that? The most important, maybe, well, second most important issue is a contract with dynamic pricing. It can be a contract with an aggregator. It can be a contract with a retailer, no matter what. The regulation has been working on that, so I think it is coming. This will mean, if you don't know, that every 15 minutes, a new price will be set for electricity. And if there's an overproduction, then you may have even negative prices or very cheap prices for electricity in certain periods, and you will have very high prices, actually, when there is not enough electricity in the network. So volatility is going to be priced, and this is important because it makes not only affordable, but financially profitable to start using electricity in a more dynamic way, even for the public utilities. What you don't really need is technological equipment. You need some smart meterings devices. You need some improvements, but this is not technologically intensive. You don't need a big capital investment. That's why I'm saying that it is almost there. The potential is almost there. You should use it. And maybe the most important thing, and I'm very bad in making this, you need a bit of social sacrifice. I can imagine in a library people complaining that it's too cold or too hot. You have to make it accepted. You have to explain people why this is happening. This is true. This is there. This is a major challenge. I'm not very good in that because I work with numbers. You work with people. Much more difficult task. So that's it. Basically, I would just show in terms of consumption patterns that where we are now. So you see that one of the biggest slice of consumption goes for houses, and the second biggest story is for public institutions. So that's why I'm speaking that in terms of numbers, this is one of the biggest measure you can make on the public sector level. Thank you for your attention.